So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Amelia Boyd, and I'm the program manager for the commission and the organizer for this webinar, or this rules hearing, apologies. This hearing is being recorded and will be made available sometime next week on our YouTube channel. The documents which will be discussed here today are on the event calendar on our website, which is wmc.wa.gov. This hearing is being held in a hybrid format with virtual and in-person participants. Technology is going to get the best of me today, so I apologize. So our agenda today is as follows. This is the same agenda that is in the packet. And then before the close of this hearing today, we will discuss next steps for this rulemaking. At this hearing, the commissioners will listen to testimony, discuss written comments, and vote on the proposed language for this new chapter 246-921 WAC regarding anesthesiologist assistants. When the hearing is open for testimony, please keep the following in mind. The commissioners will only consider comments directly related to the proposed rule language. If your testimony falls outside of this rulemaking effort, you may be asked to hold your comments. You will have about 2 minutes to speak. If your written comment is included in the hearing materials, it has already been reviewed, and any relevant comments will be considered by the commissioners in this rulemaking process. Please refrain from testifying if your remarks are merely a repetition of your written comments. So I will begin the roll call of panelists and staff. When I call your name, please introduce yourself. We will start with Mr. Bailey. If you could hit that button on that microphone and then just introduce yourself, please.
Good morning, Michael Bailey, public member.
Dr. Lyle.
I'm Dr. Sarah Lyle, Commissioner of District.
Thank you. Heather.
Yeah, Heather Carter, Assistant Attorney General.
Chris.
Good morning, Christine Blake, public member.
Dr. Domino.
Karen Domino, Chair of the Washington Medical Commission.
Thank you. Dr. Murphy.
Morning, Dr. Terry Murphy, Medical Commissioner, District 4.
Mr. Lopez.
Good morning, Ed Lopez, commission member, PA.
Dr. Chung.
Hi, good morning, Jimmy Chen, Commissioner, National District 1.
Thank you. And then online, Dr. Cabrera, if you would introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Dan Cabrera, Internal Medicine Commission member.
Thank you. Dr. Curry.
Good morning, Diana Curry, OBGYN Commission member.
Thank you. Dr. Jaker.
Good morning, April Jager, Pediatric ER Physician Commission member.
Thank you. Dr. Ventura. And Dr. Trescott.
Hi, I'm Dr. Claire Trescott, family medicine and a commissioner.
Thank you. Dr. Williams.
Good morning, Richard Wones, neurosurgeon, commission member.
Dr. Domino, you have already introduced yourself, but you can go ahead and begin the script.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Karen Domino, and I'll be the presiding officer for this workshop. Today is Friday, May 9th, 2025, and it is now, looks like 9:35 a.m. The meeting's being held by a Teams webinar and in person at the Capitol Events Center located at 6005 Tyee Drive, Southwest, in Tumwater, Washington. The proposed rule being considered today is regarding the new profession, Anesthesiologist Assistants. For today's hearing, all comments will be summarized and a summary will be provided as part of the CR 103 rules package when filed. Please do not interrupt individuals when they are testifying. This hearing is being conducted in accordance with the Administrative Procedure Act, Chapter 34, RCW and is being recorded for the official record in compliance with its requirements. The proposal, or CR 102 rules package for this rulemaking was filed on March 25th, 2025 at the Code Revisor's Office as Washington State Register, or WSR, number 25-08-028. Are there any questions regarding the rule or the hearing process before we begin the testimony? Seeing none, please note that the questions asked during this hearing are not considered testimony and will not be included in the rulemaking record or file. The proposed language for this rule is included in the meeting packet and is also available on our website at wmc.wa.gov. Ms. Boyd, could you please provide an overview of the proposed language?
Thank you. The proposed new chapter establishes the licensure and regulation of anesthesiologist assistants in Washington State. They implement Senate Bill 5184. These rules establish the scope of practice, outline supervision requirements, set licensure standards, and detail disciplinary actions applicable to AAs. The proposed chapter establishes eligibility criteria, including completion of an accredited AA program, passing a certification exam, and obtaining a license from the WMC. It defines the duties that AAs may perform under the supervision of a licensed anesthesiologist, including administering anesthesia, monitoring patients, and providing post-anesthesia care. It outlines the renewal and continuing medical education requirements for anesthesiologist assistants, including a biannual license renewal process and a 4-year CME cycle requiring 200 hours, alternative compliance options such as NCC AA certification, and accreditation standards for acceptable CME activities. It establishes a 4-to-1 supervision ratio for anesthesiologist assistants, allows exceptions upon commission approval. It outlines the requirements for exception requests and permits a group supervision model within anesthesiologist-led care teams in designated healthcare settings. It also outlines grounds for disciplinary action, including unprofessional conduct, scope of practice, violations, and failure to maintain certification.
All right, so we'll now begin the testimony portion of the meeting. When testifying, please focus your comments on the content of the proposed rule. When you testify, please state your name, the organization or individual you represent, and whether you support or oppose the proposed rule. For those attending in person, we will invite you to testify in the order in which you've signed in. If you wish to testify but are not yet signed in, please do so now. The sign-in sheet is located near Ms. Boyd. If you are participating virtual, please use the raise hand function when you are ready to speak. We will call on you and unmute your microphone. Each speaker will again have 2 minutes to provide testimony. If your written comments are already included in the hearing materials, they have been reviewed, so we ask you not to repeat them during your testimony. We will begin with those present in person and then move to virtual participants. I now open the hearing for public testimony. Ms. Boyd, who is the first person signed in to testify?
So Shane, you are up first. If anyone else would like to testify, come and sign in. You can testify, please.
Feel free to start. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Shane Angus, and I am a certified anesthesiologist assistant. I'm here in support of the proposed rules, which faithfully have been enacted as SB 5184. I think this bill's and this language you guys have worked on and created is really going to help create access in a safe and effective way here in Washington. I have personal ties to the state along the West Coast. I am a practicing certified anesthesiologist assistant for the past 25 years. I practice primarily in high acuity educational environments. And I am also the executive director for Case Western Reserve School of Medicine's Master of Science in Anesthesia program And with that, I actually train about 200 different future anesthesia care team members that go through all the rigors and requirements that you guys have outlined within their curriculum, really focus on a heavy anesthesia curriculum. And so your work that you've done is in line with what we have for expectation for our students and our graduates. I think additionally, I'd like to share that way the commission came to rules regarding safety and regarding what patients will have access to is also quite important. When it comes to having a physician anesthesiologist being able to delegate specific responsibilities that are inclusive to the spectrum of the care model that we perform, I think you guys did a good job in that regard. The ability for us to follow suit, making sure that we have met the training requirements and the competency requirements that are set forth by the anesthesiologists within the institution that we practice has all been met. I think those tie up quite nice. I would also add to that specifically when it comes to safety, there's an additional threshold which was kind of added, which is related to within the facility, any orders that were written, medications and fluids, that it must be done at the facility at the time. That's also a really nice addition. Within that spectrum, I would also then finally ask the commission to humbly move forward with recommending this moves forward to the next step so that we can bring people to practice in the state, bring forward the care team model that we know so well. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to testify?
We have 5 signed in, so.
Okay, well, they're calling people.
Yeah.
Good morning, members of the commission. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on this important matter today. My name is Sarah Brown. I am a Spokane resident and a certified anesthesiologist assistant. And I'm here to express my strong support of the proposed rules for licensing anesthesiologist assistants. I graduated from Emory University School of Medicine in 2011 as an anesthesiologist assistant, and I've been licensed in Georgia providing high quality anesthetic care and the anesthesia care team ever since. As an AA, I have placed epidurals and spinals for laboring patients, and I've inserted invasive monitors for critical trauma patients. I've routinely ordered medications for my patients, and I've performed life-saving measures in emergencies. But perhaps most importantly is that I've done all of this in consultation with and under the supervision of an anesthesiologist. Healthcare is a team sport, and being a part of the anesthesia care team is something I'm deeply proud of. Throughout my career, I've enjoyed the professional friendships and mutual respect of my CRNA and anesthesiologist colleagues. And for nearly 15 years, I've provided anesthesia in the care team model. And I can assure you the proposed rules before you today are consistent with the widely accepted standard of AA practice across the nation. Prior to the passage of Senate Bill 5184, I spent 3 years meeting with Washington state legislators to discuss AA training and practice. And as the president of the Washington Academy of Anesthesiologist Assistants, I also personally participated in a series of stakeholder meetings, which included the Washington Association of Nurse Anesthetists. Notably, our organizations collaborated on a joint letter to the legislature supporting the passage of Senate Bill 5184, as well as the funding of the University of Washington Study on Anesthesia Workforce. I share this brief history to emphasize how thoroughly and collaboratively the bill was discussed among stakeholders and legislators before its passage. I want to thank the Commission for the time and effort put forth to license AAs in Washington. The proposed rules reflect the highest standards of patient safety while also allowing for the necessary flexibility and the invaluable clinical judgment of the supervising anesthesiologist. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next up, we have Charlie.
Thank you for having me here, Chair and members of the commission. My name is Charlie Chase. I am a certified anesthesiologist assistant at St. Louis University Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri, and I am the secretary of the Washington Academy of Anesthesiologist Assistants. I've come here to voice my strong support for the proposed rules as they stand, and I would humbly ask that they be implemented without delay. I find these rules are consistent with those used in other states and demonstrate a great knowledge and understanding of our professional skill and practice. I myself have strong ties to Washington. My grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends all live exclusively in Mukilteo or Monroe in Snohomish County. My grandfather dedicated his entire life to working for tube sales that were exclusively sold to Boeing planes. And I've always been a passionate explorer of our great state's beauty and passionate about conserving our sacred temperate rainforests. I work at a teaching hospital at an inner city level 1 trauma center. We employ every single type of anesthesia care provider available in the US at the moment. That includes anesthesiologists, residents of anesthesia, certified anesthesiologists, and CRNAs. We all work together on the same team and rely on each other, and I assure you that our department could not function without all providers working together. When our residents have special exams or protected learning times, it's up to the APPs, that is, the advanced practice providers consisting of CAAs and CRNAs, to band together and step up to keep the department running smoothly. When new residents start their OR training in our hospital, it is the APPs who are asked to take them under our wing for their first month of training. Trying to be respectful of your time. There are many strong markers of quality in our profession and an improvement in the anesthesia care team model. Growing demand for anesthesia all around our state. And with adding in my passion for the beauty and preservation of our state, I would once again just passionately ask you that you adopt both rules as they stand, because I'm ready to come home.
Thank you for your testimony.
Carolyn? Okay, I will be incredibly brief. My name is Carolyn Logue, and I work with the Washington Academy of Anesthesiologist Assistants, have worked through this process as their legislative consultant through the bill and through the rulemaking. I just want to commend the commission. I have been through, this is my 36th year of doing this, and I've been through numerous rulemaking processes. And I just want to commend the commission and the process that they put together that allowed the stakeholder gathering, the discussions, the very long, sometimes meetings, the opportunities to provide written comments. That does not always happen in rulemaking processes in Washington State. And I think it really helped guide, to make sure that these rules follow the intent of the law, follow the national standards and the way things are done in other states, and will help move this profession forward in a safe way, working under their physician anesthesiologists. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
You? I think it's Patrick.
Good morning, Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Patrick Hessian. I am an anesthesiologist assistant currently practicing in Denver, Colorado, and I'm here in support of the proposed rule. I was born and raised in Spokane, Washington, but left the state about 10 years ago to complete my anesthesia training and education at the University of Colorado. Since graduating, I have seen this profession grow from a small contingent of clinicians to a large pool of providers working hard to meet the needs of our patients. This is largely due to the fact that we are well-trained and safe healthcare professionals working alongside our physician partners. As a result of this workforce shortage facing the anesthesia community, for years, my anesthesia practice, like most groups across the country, has struggled to meet the needs of the hospitals we serve. However, due to the growth of anesthesiologist assistants in Colorado, surgeons are not forced to delay or cancel their surgeries because there is no anesthesia available. When I first started practicing, there were less than 10 of us working at just 2 hospitals. But this year, we will increase to over 60 anesthesiologist assistant clinicians serving 9 hospitals across Denver. This growth is possible because the anesthesia care team model is so effective. Having a physician anesthesiologist involved in the beginning of training through the end of every anesthetic enhances efficiency and patient safety. Thank you for your time and consideration. It's fair to the Commission to adopt the proposed rules.
Thank you for your testimony.
We do have 4 hands raised right now. I will start with Christine Colasat.
Yes, that's correct. Good morning, members of the Commission. My name is Christine Colsat, and I would like to begin by sincerely thanking you for the opportunity to speak today in support of the current rules. I've had the privilege of being a CAA for the past 10 years, and I currently serve as the Vice President of the Washington Academy of Anesthesiologist Assistants. I live in Miami with my husband and our 2 small boys. Nearly 4 years ago, I lost my mom to a brief but difficult battle with cancer. Just 6 months after the birth of my oldest son, she passed away. Since then, our family has been without relatives, navigating both professional and personal challenges alone. This experience has fueled my commitment to advocating for licensure in Washington, because there's no more isolating feeling than knowing that you cannot move closer to your support system due to professional barriers. Just as Washingtonian patients anxiously await their needed surgeries due to anesthesia staff shortages. All I could think about is if my mom had had this surgery sooner and been diagnosed sooner, it might have extended her life enough for her to meet my youngest son. I can't imagine the fear these patients feel with delayed surgeries they're waiting for. And that fear and the fear of losing time, of uncertainty, of being alone, these are all things I've lived. And it's what drives me to ensure that no patient has to wait for care that qualified providers like myself are ready to give. Washington's proposed rules are in line with the national norms, and the scope of practice reflects how CAAs safely operate in many other states, such as my home state of Florida. As a CAA, I've worked as part of a collaborative team alongside attending anesthesiologists and CRNAs under the ACT model, and we all work together in critical moments to make sure that patients are safe. Titles fall away and teamwork becomes a spotlight. We are all aligned in one singular mission, returning patients safely to their loved ones. Today, I come before you with deep professional and personal conviction. It is difficult to fully express what it would mean for me to be able to practice in Washington, the opportunity to be closer to my family while continuing to do the work that I love. I'm currently credentialed at 7 facilities at one of the largest hospital systems in South Florida. I float to any of the facilities that have shortages to ensure that surgeries proceed safely and without delay. This flexibility allows reliability and key advantages of including CAAs in the care team. I respectfully urge the Commission to please support these proposed rules to license CAAs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Nicole, you're next.
Thank you. First off, good morning, commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you today regarding the rules for licensing anesthesiologist assistants in the state of Washington. My name is Nicole Moore. I'm a practicing certified anesthesiologist assistant and also the current president of the American Academy of Anesthesiologist Assistants. Although I currently live and practice as a CAA on the opposite coast in Washington, D.C., the majority of my family lives in the Seattle area, and I've always wanted the ability to be able to move closer to my family and be able to practice in a career I worked so hard for. Watching Washington pass the CAA licensure bill last year was such an exciting time for me personally and a number of my CAA colleagues who are excited to be able to come provide safe and quality anesthesia care to patients in the state of Washington. I want to voice my support for the rules as they've been written thus far. As a national organization, we believe that these rules reflect the law that was passed to allow for licensure of CAAs, as well as the standard practice for CAAs across the country. CAAs currently work within the anesthesia care team model under the supervision of a physician anesthesiologist in 19 other states or jurisdictions across the country. Throughout my personal practice here in Washington, D.C. and all other states, myself and CAAs perform a variety of tasks under the delegation of an anesthesiologist, including performing preoperative exams, obtaining informed consent, assisting in recovery room management, as well as perform multiple intraoperative procedures, such as intubation, arterial line placement, central line placement, regional blocks, and neuraxial anesthesia. As someone who has been involved in the legislative process in multiple states and works with CAAs from across the country, I can assure you that these rules have been proposed are in line with the rules and practices regarding CAAs in all other practice states. CAAs practicing in adherence to rules such as the ones proposed has proven to be safe in all other states thus far. In fact, in October of 2018, there was a study published in the reputable journal Anesthesiology that concluded that the specific composition of the anesthesia care team was not associated with any significant differences in mortality, length of stay, or inpatient spending. As a profession, we're looking forward to providing anesthesia care to patients within the anesthesia care team model over there in Washington. I urge you to consider these rules as proposed, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Kayla, you're next. Kayla Kerr.
Hi, my name is Kayla. I'm an AA student currently at Case Western Reserve University in Houston. I'm writing to state my support of the licensure and ruling and as is. So before starting my CAA training, I actually lived in Seattle for 2 years after graduating from university. I worked at UW in Eastlake doing specimen processing for COVID-19 samples. Then I also worked as a neuroscientist at UW Montlake for about a year. One night, I just happened to discover the CA profession, and I immediately knew that this is what I wanted to do with my life. However, I had to kind of stop and reconsider because one thing that kind of held me from making that decision immediately was that I would have to leave Washington and not be able to return for work. I really didn't want to leave the community and friends behind that I had made. So when I heard that the SB 5184 had passed in Washington, I was inspired to do anything I could to return back to the place that fully felt like home to me. The main hospital I train at is Memorial Hermann TMC here in Houston. It is a level 1 trauma center that is one of, if not the biggest, hospital complexes in the world. At this hospital, one can experience managing a wide array of cases, from transplants to gallbladder removals on some of the sickest people in our country. This hospital and many of the other top hospitals in Texas employ the ACT model, which allows for anesthesiologists and CAAs to work together to create the best possible care for our patients, but also allows anesthesiologists to delegate tasks to multiple teams, thereby improving overall efficiency. In addition, many CAAs like myself were also on a pre-med track with plans to go to medical school initially before finding out about the profession. This means that many CAAs were previously emergency medical technicians, flight nurses, or trauma nurses as well. Once you enter school, you're also trained to perform various procedures like arterial lines, central lines, spinals, epidurals, regional blocks, and more. And this standard is applied to all programs, which ensures a consistent level of competency across our profession. Today, there is a massive shortage of anesthesia providers nationwide, and we are an untapped market that can be used to help alleviate that load. At the end of the day, we all just want to take care of patients at their most vulnerable times, and moving forward with the implementation of SB 5184 will allow us to become a reality. CAAs being licensed practitioners will only help to ensure that everyone in Washington can receive excellent and timely anesthesia care. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you for your testimony.
I apologize if I mispronounced this, but IJ, you are next.
Dear members of the Commission, my name is I Chi, rising second-year student anesthesiologist assistant. I am currently attending Case Western Reserve University in Washington, D.C. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My family and I live in Federal Way, Washington for over 10 years. I attended Tacoma Community College and University of Washington, Seattle. I worked as a phlebotomist at Multicare Tacoma General Hospital for over 2 years. After graduating from this program, I wished to move back to Washington State to practice and provide anesthesia care for my community. I am trained in anesthesia care team model under the direct supervision of anesthesiologists in Washington, D.C. I strongly support the Department of Health's proposed rules for licensing CAAs. There are anesthesia provider shortages in Washington state, especially in rural areas. When I travel to shadow healthcare practitioners in Port Townsend, a small city 4 hours away from Seattle where my relatives live, I notice how long the wait time is for simple procedures. I believe CAA licensing will help mitigate the current shortage of anesthesia providers in Washington and ensure patients will have timely access to healthcare. Incorporating CAAs into anesthesia care team model promotes collaborative approach, allowing anesthesiologists to delegate tasks effectively and focus on critical aspects of patient care. Every detail of the patient's care plan is tailored by the CAA and the attending anesthesiologist to ensure the patient receives the best care they deserve. As a student, I have the privilege of training at Level 1 Trauma Center and familiarize myself with complex procedures such as placing arterial lines on unstable patients. We also had rotations dedicated to trauma to enhance our skills in emergency situations. I always look forward to taking care of patients from different backgrounds and embrace the complexity of each case because that means one day I'll get to use my expertise to serve my community back in Washington. Thank you to the Medical Commission.
Thank you for your testimony.
Senator Mazal.
Good morning and thank you. I believe that you are in receipt of a letter from Senator Chair Cleveland of the Health and Long-Term Care Committee, and also at that time, the ranking member, Senator Rivers. I am currently the ranking member on health and long-term care. We believe that these rules reflect the legislation that we passed to allow anesthesiology assistants to practice in the state of Washington and encourage you to move forward with this. The two concerns we have with healthcare in the state of Washington are cost and access. And we believe that when this is passed, it will have an impact on both of those, reducing costs and creating more access to healthcare in the state of Washington. So please proceed forward with the rules. Like I said, we believe that they reflect the intent of the legislation and look forward to having an impact on cost and access. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator, for your testimony.
Eric, you're next.
Hello, I'm Eric Condon. I'm an anesthesiologist in Spokane, Washington. This is a challenging time in healthcare. According to the Workforce Training and Education Coordinating Board's 2024 Health Workforce Annual Report, staffing gaps have caused difficulties across multiple healthcare settings, including long wait times for appointments, reduced availability of some services, and the inability of some practices to accept new patients and clients. Hospital bed shortages have resulted in prolonged wait times for patients who often need critical care. Operating rooms at many hospitals across the state are not functioning at full capacity because we don't have enough people to staff them. That is why, as an anesthesiologist who has been practicing for 16 years and as president of the Washington State Society of Anesthesiologists, I'm urging you to adopt these rules to license certified anesthesiologist assistants in our state. Certified anesthesiologist assistants are not a new class of providers. They have existed across the country for more than 50 years, and they are licensed to practice in 22 other jurisdictions. They provide safe, high-quality anesthesia as part of a proven model of care in which anesthesiologists work as a team with anesthesiology residents, certified anesthesiologist assistants, and certified registered nurse anesthetists. In 2021, the Department of Health conducted a thorough review of the CAA profession and recommended licensure for them in our state. The legislature followed up by passing legislation to this effect, as Senator Mizal referred to, in 2024. The care team model under which many CRNAs currently practice in our state is safe, cost-effective, and by expanding the providers who can practice in our state as part of this team, will be helping patients get more timely access to safe, reliable care. These proposed rules closely and carefully align with the language in the statute approved by a strong majority of the legislature, 82% of the Senate members and 84% of the House members. The highly prescriptive language is in the scope of practice section of the enabling legislation, makes the legislature's intent clear, and these rules are consistent with that intent. We have a responsibility to our patients to take whatever measures we can to provide timely access to excellent care in Washington. Adopting these rules and allowing the CAAs to practice here in Washington is one step we can all take today to move us toward that goal. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Teresa, you're next. We cannot hear you. No, we still can't hear you. You're unmuted on our end, but. Yeah, we'll move to the next, we still can't hear you, so we'll move to the next one and then just raise your hand again and we'll try to come back to you. So
Amelia, I did notice that the little microphone thing that maybe there's some system issue with her because it appeared that she did unmute herself.
She did on our end, yeah. It may be, she may have to click the options in Teams for the microphone. So Teddy, if you would go ahead.
Good morning. I am Teddy McGuire, and I'm here on behalf of Providence. For the record, Providence is supportive of the CR 102 final draft rules. We appreciate that the language is aligned with and seeks to implement the law approved by the legislature. Providence supported the original bill and these draft rules because it will allow hospitals to reduce workforce shortages for our operating rooms and reduce the delay in scheduling needed procedures. Hospitals must provide patients with timely access to care. And while we ensure that emergent critical procedures and surgeries are completed, the current shortages constrict our ability to take care of semi-elective procedures for issues that cause pain or discomfort to our patients while they wait for their primary surgery to be scheduled. Additionally, having more people to add to the teams and the schedule keeps us from having our current employees become overworked and risk burning out. Hospitals are always looking for straightforward solutions to our workforce shortages that benefits both patients and our providers. These rules accomplish just that. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Teresa, would you like to try again? You are still unmuted on our end, but we are not able to hear you, unfortunately. I apologize for those technical difficulties. That is the last hand we have raised.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to testify?
We have one more hand raised. Hold on just a second. Go ahead, Dee.
Sorry, trying to get my computer out here in the middle of the mountains. My name is Dee Bender. I am a representative for the Washington Association of Nurse Anesthesiology. We have already submitted a good amount of comments, and I don't want to waste your time by repeating those. I would just respectfully request that the commission do a couple things for me, and that would be to review the transcripts and the records of all of the rulemaking workshops, go back and conduct a historical context analysis. That's required under the APA. It would compare the original proposed language that Mazzal and Cleveland and Rivers submitted to the final language that was passed. There are a few differences in that language. One very particular thing that we would ask you to look at is that there's language that specifically states, and I quote, "An anesthesiologist assistant may not prescribe, order, compound, or dispense drugs, medications, or devices of any kind," end quote, without creating regulatory loopholes. That language during the rules workshop, if you go back and listen, was discounted and pushed to the side, even though we submitted comments directly from DEA that were submitted to the commission for review. You can review those. I won't waste your time with that either. I do ask you to conduct an ethics review on the rules making process as well, particularly with the chair and her ethics violation of not recusing herself from the process. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your testimony.
Dr. Chang, since you came in late, would you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick, please?
I am Dr. Chang. I'm one of the commissioners.
Thank you.
Right. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Any other hands raised or anything?
Not that I see, no.
Okay, well, if there's no one else who wishes to testify, I'm going to close the testimony portion of the hearing. Has the department or commission received any written testimony from members of the public related to rules filed under WSR number 25-08-028? Amelia, will you present a summary of these comments?
Yes. So we did receive several comments. We received 50-ish comments on the official rules comment site, and then we received several via email. And of those comments received, they expressed strong support for the adoption of the proposed rule, emphasizing its alignment with Senate Bill 5184, which is the legislation authorizing AA or CAA licensure. Advocates highlighted that the rules would expand Washington's healthcare workforce, improve access to anesthesia care, and promote safe, team-based patient care under the supervision of anesthesiologists. Commenters also noted that the proposed rules reflect national standards and are consistent with practices in 22 other states where CAAs are already licensed. So we did have we had about 17 that were in opposition, and they argued that allowing CAAs to order medications, including controlled substances, would violate federal law, as CAAs are not independently registered with the DEA. They also claim the rules contradict the legislative intent of SB 5184, which specifically removed CAA authority to perform procedures such as placing epidurals in regional blocks. Additional concerns included the variability in CAA educational programs, with some suggesting that invasive procedures may exceed the training and experience provided. Some commenters felt their concerns were not fully addressed and expressed unease about what they viewed as a rushed rulemaking timeline. One commenter also questioned the neutrality of the process, asserting that the chair of the WMC had a professional interest in the outcome and should have recused to avoid a conflict. So going back to these points, this is a response for now for the technologies on my friend today. So here's the response for now to the first bullet point in the opposition. It says, while the proposed rule does allow AAs to order medications, this authority is exercised under the direct supervision and delegation of a supervising anesthesiologist and is limited to the perioperative setting within the facility where the orders are made. This is in line with other health professions working in institutional settings and does not constitute independent prescribing. And then about the epidural block scope overreach. The rules propose that an AA can maintain and manage, I'm going to butcher this, neuroaxial, is that correct? Neuraxial epidurals and regional anesthesia, as well as evaluate and manage patient-controlled analgesia, epidural catheters, and peripheral nerve catheters. And then on the training and safety concerns, the WMC recognizes the importance of ensuring that all healthcare providers practice within the limits of their education, training, and competence, particularly when it comes to invasive procedures. The proposed rules reflect this principle by clearly tying the CAA scope of practice to the authority and oversight of the supervising anesthesiologist as specified in SB 5184 and RCW 1871D, which is the anesthesiology assistant statute. The scope section of that statute is incorporated into the proposed rules with language that is nearly identical to the statute. And then on process transparency, I will let you guys read that list while I get a drink. Sorry. So this is just an overview of how the process has gone when it began and how we've moved through the steps. Then I do have some language here. So the CR 101 to initiate this rulemaking was approved on April 26, 2024, and subsequently filed on August 28, 2024. 4 public workshops were held between October and December 2024 to gather input and discuss the proposed rules. If the rules are adopted today, the CR 103 would be filed within the next 60 days, approximately. Once the CR 103 is filed, there is an additional 31-day waiting period before the rules take effect. We have consistently stated that our goal is to complete this rulemaking process in time for the rules to be effective by January 1st, 2026. And standard rulemaking typically takes about 18 months from initiation to implementation, and this timeline aligns with that standard. And then all of our workshop recordings are available on our YouTube channel. We always post them there. And then On the conflict of interest allegations, Kyle is going to speak to this piece.
Good morning, everybody. The commission is structured by statute to include physician members, and in practice includes a diversity of specialties within medicine. It's both expected and appropriate that physician anesthesiologists may be appointed and participate in rulemaking, particularly for rules like this that are directly related to their area of expertise, like implementation of the CAA licensure statute. The RCW that you see highlighted on your screen provides clear legal authority for individuals like Dr. Domino or the other members who served in the rulemaking workshops like T.A. Lopez, Dr. Chung, Dr. Curry, to serve and participate fully in rulemaking, even on issues that may be related to their field, as long as they are acting in their official capacity and in accordance with the law.
Drawer next to the fridge.
This statute protects against claims that her professional background in and of itself disqualifies her
Play.
or
Play.
an
That's
impermissible
enough.
conflict of
You're being
interest.
very whiny.
So with all that in mind, back to you.
Apology. Okay, so when the commissioners have their discussion, the public may not comment during their deliberation on proposed rules or comments received. The commissioners will discuss the relevant testimony and the written comments. After the discussion concludes, a motion will be made to either approve and adopt the proposed rules as written or with non-substantive revisions, or defer adoption, continue to work on the proposed rule and schedule another hearing. Back to you, John.
Okay, great. Commissioners, you may now discuss the relevant testimony and written comments. Amelia, would you mind calling on the commissioners as they say something rather than so, or do I need to? Yeah.
I think you can go ahead because it's a discussion.
It's a discussion. Does anyone have any comments about it? Particularly, we had several commissioners involved in the rulemaking as well. Mr. Lopez.
Yes. Good morning again. This is Eric Lopez. And having been involved in the process to some degree, I speak in support of the work that the commission has done, as well as members of the CAA community, nurse anesthetists, anesthesiologists, and other members of communities who have been in support of the Senate bill as well as the rulemaking process. I think this has been a very thoughtful and collaborative conversation and review of risks versus benefits analysis, as we do in everything that we try to do. I'm very grateful that we had anesthesiologists who have been courageous enough to be able to testify regarding the realities of what it's like in the operating room today. I had my previous career, I was involved in cardiac surgery. And I can tell you that in my experience, anesthesia was one of the shortcomings in the system that I was involved in. And that was many years ago. I also want to say that much like everything else in our society, everything now seems to be a collaborative team sport. Healthcare is one of those areas. And we on the commission are committed to making sure that not only access is provided in all areas of medicine, but also do it in a safe and judicious manner for all of the members of our community. So I want to thank all of you that have come here today from all over the country, and those of you who testified either for or against for your collaboration in this process.
Thank you. Any other commissioners wish to say anything? Any discussion of this? Amelia, do you see any
Dr.
hands up
Domino?
there?
Hi,
Yes,
Dr. Domino. Oh, sorry.
feel free to talk, yeah.
Yeah, hi, this is Diana Curry, OBGYN. I was involved in all the workshops as well as Mr. Lopez. And I just want to say that I think that we tried very hard to consider every possible nuance of the legislation and how to do the rulemaking to the best of our ability and to make sure that we considered public safety at every step of the way. And I will just say that there is nothing more devastating than having patients wait for an operating room because you don't have an anesthesiologist. And I can tell you that even in my own practice, many ruptured ectopics from the ER had to wait an unnecessary amount of time because we couldn't get an OR staffed with an anesthesiologist. So expanding the workforce is critical to saving patient lives. And I believe that our rules will create a safe profession that can help with the care team and expand the resources for our state of Washington patients. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Curry. Dr. Trescott, I do see your hand raised.
Yes, thank you. I just need to speak as a commissioner and not as someone who was as involved with the workshops that, all of medicine is moving towards team-based care, and this is just a component of that in the operating room. And I just need to say that we've had wonderful input and leadership from Dr. Domino. And in the commission, expertise is absolutely needed. And there's a reason that we have a mix of specialties and expertise that serve on the commission. And I have to say that Dr. Domino has done this work with a very high level of ethics. And if we were expanding the care team in family medicine, I would almost demand that the work be led by a family physician so that we have that expertise involved. This does not implicate any financial conflict of interest at all. It has to do with what is the work of the commission and how do we view that work. So I just wanted to make that statement. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement. Anyone else, any other commissioners here or on video want to make any comments? I guess you could raise your hand. Dr. Chung.
Thank you. Jimmy Chung, Commissioner. I just wanted to echo part of what Dr. Trescott has said, which is that I want to highlight the integrity and transparency of the work that we do as a commission, not just on this particular rule, but all rules and the usual business that we conduct. I think I want to express my appreciation for the those who made comments on the opposing side, and I think you bring up some good points that we really had to think through and address. However, making accusations about conflict of interest and lack of transparency, I think, are not necessarily, in my opinion, have been well thought through. We operate under a tremendous amount of self governance and transparency that we want to express to the public. And in essence, one could argue that when we review cases, that I, as a general surgeon, should be reviewing general surgery cases because that could potentially benefit my practice. I had a practice that competed with that particular physician. We have specific rules on how we recuse ourselves. And I believe that in this particular instance, as Dr. Trescott said, we pulled in the leadership, the expertise that was necessary for the rulemaking, and amongst those who worked on the work group, we operated with the full intent of making sure that this was good for the people of the state of Washington, and not consideration of how it impacts any individual practice or position. So I want to reassure that those of you who did send in opposing views, that all of your comments were taken very seriously and that they were thought through. In fact, I think we made some changes based on some of your contributions, and we appreciate that. But I think we need to move beyond making these kind of accusations.
Thank you, Dr. Chung. Anyone else? Okay, Ms. Blake.
Thank you, Dr. Chung. Christine Blake, public member. I know you've heard from a lot of clinicians on this, and I, as a public member, just want to say that I've been a member of this commission for several years now. I've been on workshops, have seen the integrity and that this board has and that people have when they sit on these committees. In my real life, I work in healthcare as well. So on the administrative side, obviously not on the clinical side. And I just want to reiterate what Dr. Chung said and several people here have said, which is that when there's a meeting or workshops, all comments and concerns are taken under advisement, all taken seriously, and all reviewed in a way that I, as a public member, feel are done with the integrity and the safety of our patients.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh,
hi, Dr. Terry Murphy, Commissioner. I think all of the public testimony in person and virtual today from literally all over the country and educators in this, what would be a new profession only to the state of Washington, not to the country at large, is testimony about how collaborative the process has been and how our patients are ready and in great need for us to move forward. So thank you.
thank you. Anyone else that I see? Amelia, do you want to read this extra thing or do I just move on in this?
No, you will move on to the next piece, but just a second, I noticed that Dr. D'Souza has joined us, so I just wanted to have her introduce herself real quick.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. So my name is Anjali D'Souza. My specialty is internal medicine, and I'm one of the commissioners.
Thank you.
All right. So will the commission consider a motion to adopt the proposed language presented today regarding anesthesiologist assistants?
So moved.
Second. Okay. So we should take a vote on it, I assume, Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
So all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. And Amelia, how many commissioners do we have voting?
So it looks like the only one that didn't speak was Dr. Loans. I didn't see Dr. D'Souza's light up.
I vote.
Dr. Williams?
Yay.
I voted with my hand raising.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is Dr.
Great.
Jager, also yay.
Thank you.
Okay, and I officially will abstain.
Okay.
Did you get my yay vote, Dr. D'Souza, Amelia?
We did. Thank you.
All right, so the motion passed. Ms. Boyd will now outline the steps and explain how to participate in this and future rulemaking efforts.
So since the motion to adopt the language did pass, we will file the CR 103 or permanent rulemaking within the next 60 days or so. And then just a reminder that the testimony and written comment responses will be included in the concise explanatory statement, which is part of that rulemaking package. And then the rules should be effective around the September time of this year. Then here is the contact information. And then if anyone would like to sign up for our gut delivery, this is the link to that. Those who are participating virtually should be able to click that link. You can finish out the script.
Great. Well, I want to thank everybody for their testimony today. Really, I think we all really appreciate hearing all the different points of view and that. And so as far as, I just want to thank you. And we do recognize, we like to hear different points of view as well. So thank you so much for your participation. The hearing is now adjourned and the time is, it looks like 10:30. Is that correct? All right.